I'm going to read the last parts of this Who book. By Kathy Billingsley Smith and illustrated by Robert S. Storms. The first part tonight was who makes the toys in this toy store. Some wooden toys or stuffed animals and dolls are made by just one person. That person gets the supplies and builds or sews the toys all alone. Most toys are made in toy factories. There, many people work together to build the toys. Often each worker does just one job and then passes the toy on to the next worker. One worker might snap in the doll's head and arms. Another worker might put in the legs. Another might dress the doll. Another might put the finished doll in the box. That way, toys can be made very quickly. If you look closely at your toys, you might be able to read where they were made. Sometimes toy makers stamp the name of the city or country onto each toy after it is finished. See how this doll gets made? Put in a box. Who invented the telephone? Before telephones were invented, people could only send message by telegraph or through the mail or by messenger. But on March 10, 1876, all this changed. In a lab in Boston, a young inventor and teacher named Alexander Graham Bell was working on his newest invention, the telephone. He was ready to test a new transmitter, the part that changes your voice into electricity so it can travel over the phone wires. Accidentally, he spilled burning acid from a battery onto his clothes. "Mr. Watson, come here. I want you," Mr. Bell called into his telephone. His assistant, Thomas Watson, heard the message over his own telephone down the hall. He came running into the lab. "Mr. Bell, I heard every word you said," shouted the excited Mr. Watson. They had created something wonderful, the telephone. And phones look quite different today. Who made this book? This book was put together by many different people. First, a writer wrote the questions and answers that would be in the book. Copies of them were sent to an editor, a typesetter, and an artist. The editor read the words and then added or took away information to make the book better. The artist also read the words and then drew the pictures. He left room for the words on each page. Then the typesetter used a machine to put the words on special paper. These words were then placed next to the pictures. Now the pages were ready to be printed. The printer made many copies of the book pages. Then 24 pages and the cover were bound together to make each book until there were thousands and thousands of books. These books were shipped to stores all across the country. People like you came to the stores to buy the books. Have fun reading. See, there's the person typing or writing, the artist. They're made into pages, and then the boys and girls are reading the book. Who was the first person to fly? In 1786, a French doctor named Paletre de Rosier flew up into the air in a balloon. He was the first person to fly. After this first flight, many other people tried ballooning too. Balloons were rather easy to fly, but they could not be steered very well. They simply drifted with the winds. Many people worked to make a flying machine that could be steered well. Wilbur and Orville Wright were the first to fly in an airplane powered by an engine. These two brothers flew their plane, the Flyer 1, at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1903. On its first flight, the plane stayed in the air about 12 seconds and went almost 120 feet. The fourth flight lasted almost a minute, and the plane traveled a distance of 852 feet. Now we have planes, great jumbo jets, that can fly for hours without stopping for fuel. They fly across oceans and across continents as big as North America. I hope you've enjoyed this book about people who were the first to do things, or people who work together to make things or do things or activities.